because that's what happens out in their world. And I've had, don't worry about trying to fix the picture, it's okay. And so I have 3 friends. They're not deep friends, they're not close friends, but they're acquaintance friends who have left. And one of them did turn to drugs, but all 3 of them are now atheists because they were told, you can't have God. If you leave the ultra-Orthodox, if you leave the Hassidim, you have to leave God. And they're like, okay, we can't live like this anymore. We'll leave God as well. And so they did. And I've had conversations with all 3 of them, 2 men, 1 woman. I've had conversations with all 3 of them about, did you know that there was this guy named Yeshua in the middle that you could have turned to? And they said, well, then can we still be Jewish? Because they were also told that if you leave Hassidim, or if you leave our sect, you have to leave God. But you definitely cannot believe in Yeshua. They won't, by the way, they won't say the name Yeshua at all. And I'll just go on past that picture, it's okay. But let me explain before we go on too much farther, just very quickly, what is my personal theology of missions? Because obviously I'm a missionary. So what do I believe about missions? Well, this is my personal theology of missions. Missions begins locally. You have a kabod house just streets away from you. But missions is about locally. You know, I cannot do what I do even in New York unless you guys are involved with missions here. You know, when Yeshua gave the Great Commission, he says it's about starting here and then expanding. So you can't just sit here and send somebody else out to do your work. You have to do the work too. And when Paul, and by the way, I share this presentation at churches a lot. I'm doing this at a church tomorrow, in fact. And I always remind them that when Paul went out on his missionary journeys, even though Paul is the missionary to the Gentiles, that even though he went and established all of these churches, even when he went to Thessalonica and to Colossae and to Ephesus, he always first went to the synagogues because he believed into the Jew first and also to the Gentiles. So missions begins locally, and it begins to the Jewish people first. And that is the reason why we are not doing a better job of reaching the world with the gospel anywhere. It's because we forgot to the Jew first, and we forgot to involve the local congregations and the local church. And I also believe that a lot, not just Jewish people, but all people have been so damaged by fake Christians that they have problems believing in the real Jesus or the real Yeshua. So we have to show them the love of the real Yeshua and be real believers in Jesus if we're ever going to reach the real world with the gospel. So that's why that is my theology of missions. And I don't think a lot of missionaries take the time to explain that when they come and share.